Okay, we have 2013 Ford Fusion Titanium, and we're about to replace the rear driver's side wheel bearing. This thing's been making noise ever since the day I got it, so I got a new wheel bearing and I'm going to walk you guys through how to replace this thing. Alright, I have the wheel off, and you want to take your 32 millimeter axle nut socket, place it on there, and loosen up the axle nut. From there, we'll move on to taking off the caliper. We're going to do it all in one piece, so we don't have to mess with any of the taking off the brake pads or anything like that. We're just taking the whole unit and taking it off. That's two 15 millimeter bolts on the back. I'll show you guys that later, but this is where I am, so I'm going to start with that. There are two 15 millimeter bolts on the back of this. Let's see if I can get some light back there and show you. Okay, let's get in there. So here's one. The other one is right down there. You can see that. So it's two 15 millimeters. Those have to come out, and then this whole unit gets pulled off and will hang it off to the side there. Okay, two 15 millimeter bolts are out. They're right there. Right there, and this thing is loose. It's what I'm going to do now is to make it a little bit easier to place the caliper assembly back on. I'm just going to take my pry bar and move or squeeze the piston in a little bit so that just so that I can slide the whole assembly back on without being it too tight. And so after that, I'm going to hang this thing up somewhere over there, somewhere out of the way, and we'll move on to the next steps after that. Okay, so here's the current setup. The rotor easily came off. I put that over there, and I tied up the caliper assembly over there with a bungee and had to take off. There's a 8 millimeter bolt there that holds this little bracket with the I guess it's ABS sensor line and also the brake line, so that just move that out of the way. Now there are four 15 millimeter bolts on the back side of this hub. Let me see if I can get some light. So you can already see, like, there's one, there's two up top, and there's another one there, and one more down there. All of them are on the back side of this hub, so I'll reach back there. It's all 15 millimeter. I'm gonna take all the bolts off, and we'll see if we can't get this thing off without having to cut it or whatever. First, also, you want to take off the axle nut. I loosened that up, so I'm just gonna take off all the stuff, all the bolts on the back first before I completely try to take this thing off. Also, if you have some PB Blaster, it does help to spray this thing down a little bit. I'm gonna do that next. Alright, so yeah, this hub won't come out. I beat on it with a hammer, and I've also used ungodly amounts of PB Blaster on it. It's just not doing anything. Slide hammer, whatever. So what I'm going to do now is I've loosened one of the studs. They're just pressed in, so I'm just gonna try and get this thing off. Try and get it all the way off. If not, then I'm just gonna slice off the end, get it so that I can have one of these stud holes open, and then put a long bolt through, and just kind of use a nut, something to torque it down and kind of push or pry the hub off. This is just too damn ridiculous. See, I get some more light in there for you. Yeah, it's just completely rusted on, fused together. I don't have a torch. I would probably use a torch if I had one, maybe heat it up a little bit, but otherwise, yeah, it's pretty on there. And the car is like, what, 7 years old? Yeah, like 7 years old. So, yeah, it's on there. It's on there pretty good. The hub does, the axle does move. I was able to push that in, so I mean, like it does come. It does. There we go. If you could see, I'm pushing on it, and you can see back there that's moving. So it's not stuck on the axle shaft. It's just fused to the spindle. So yeah, I'll continue this tomorrow morning. Get some, I'll get my grinder, cut off this end here, then I'll go ahead and place a long, see if I can find a long heavy bolt, put that in there. But I'm gonna call it a night, guys. Started doing the work, but got hung up, so I'm gonna try a new tool that I ordered off of Amazon. This right here, this is the hub buster. Thing's pretty freaking hefty. There we go. There we go. I don't know, probably like 1.5 feet long. Not even 1.5 feet. But came with that and some bolts. We'll see how this thing goes. Okay, about to try the hub buster out. Here's this current setup. Got everything going, everything loosened up. A little bit of PV blaster on there. Alright, about to hit this thing and see what's going on. Hopefully it comes off. Okay, y'all, about 5 or 6 hard whacks. You can see that I've hit it. Paint's coming off on the pretty new tool, but there's separation. I don't know if you can see it, but there's separation there. Right in there. Okay, the hub buster really works, guys. This thing's loose. There you go. I just need to push the axle back a little bit and then it'll pop right off, but otherwise, definitely recommend a bigger hammer. So this is a 4-pound hammer. If you guys have a bigger one, this would have been done maybe in like a handful of whacks, maybe 5, but I had to do, I think, maybe like 20 hard hits, and then it finally came off. Oh, I'm happy. This thing really works. Recommend it. Definitely recommend it. Okay, here's what it looks like off. Definitely tell this is the original hub. This Fusion has a 104,000 miles on it. This thing is definitely seen some better days. If you twist this thing, you can definitely tell it's has some rough times, rough play. Definitely needed it. I'll clean this up and get everything back together here with the new hub. But definitely a tough job. But Alright, here's the new hub on, and torque specs are the 147 for the bolts holding it on to the spindle. The axle nut is 148, so I mean they're all pretty much the same torque spec. Just get them to 147, 148, and bam, you're all good. Installation is basically the reverse of taking it off, and make sure that take it for a test drive and enjoy. Later.